Hello everybody, this is Founder Laerun again. I'm going to go over the character wizard. This is utilizing the DnD5e Ruleset, so I apologize if you are interested in other rule sets. This is the one I'm most familiar with, so this is why most of my content is done with the 5th edition rule set. So I have a session already going here, and this is my Hell's Heroes trio of adventurers that are working in between the prime material plane and hell. So I'm going to make another character, but I'm going to use the character wizard. So all three of these other characters were made traditionally by the drag and drop method. So I'm going to first of all make them an ally who is a paladin, a fallen one at that, but he's one of their friends. So I'm going to take this character wizard and go ahead and click on that. And this is assuming that you have content in your library. So I have a ton of content loaded here for different reasons and for different things for customization. So you might just have the player's handbook or one of the others, but this is kind of an Inverness-based setting, so the characters and the players are going to relate to heaven and hell and the blood war aspect. So without further ado, so let's start with the character wizard. So I'm going to click on character wizard, and you'll get this pop-up. Now, the pop-up is designed to help you get through the majority of the steps of creating character with a lot more ease. So a lot less drama and mistakes and that sort of thing. Prior to this, you would have a lot of issues with people doubling up on skills, or they wouldn't know which stuff to drag over. And then when you did, it would, it's hard to fix it. You can't really delete it very easily and undo it. So this kind of helps with that. It takes away a lot of that pain, so it does help for new players and for GMs that want to crank out a bunch of characters. So the first thing I'm going to do is my ability scores. So right now it's set at the standard array, but if you click on stats, you can change where this location is on the standard array. You can also choose to roll dice. So if you want to roll all your stats at once, you can click that, or you can click reroll. Whatever you choose to do, you will drag and drop these over to your character sheet. So it just depends on, if you're going to use the old way, but this way it already populates, so then you just move these things around. So I'm not going to use that method, but then you have a point buy where everything's set at 8. You set your point total, and then you will pick stats based on your point total. It's usually around 30 points or so, depending on the rule set and your DM. Let's see. The next area is the standard array, which is the standard setup. So if I wanted to go with this, I could take these and probably just drag and drop them where you want to go, or just switch and change the number. So that's up to you, but use the arrow keys to move the numbers back and forth. So I'm going to go to race. I'm going to make this guy Azamar or Celestial or something like that. So let me see what I have here. So Celestial, have that here. You know what? I'm going to just make him an Azamar. I think that's kind of a cool thing. And he does have a celestial background. And then with the Azamar, you get to get some knowledge for your sub-race. So I got to pick a sub-race. So you can be Life, Defender, Divine, Logic, Deva, and Unbinding, Solar, Planetar, and Knowledge. I kind of think that this would be cool if he was kind of like a more of a Life or a Defender type guy. I think Defender is cool. So a Defender subrace, and then go back to the stats again. And you can arrange these how you want. So I kind of want this guy to be like a paladin, so I'm going to need a good charisma and that sort of thing. But let's do the dice roll method. See, and it populates whatever you roll. So you can sit here all day and re-roll these if you want. But basically, if you stick with the standard array, you're not going to get all these crazy stats. So this is a good roll. This is, decent. So I'm going to move the 15 at least over to, well, the 14. So I moved it from the strength. Now it's in dex. Move it from dex over to con, and you just keep moving it over until you get it there. So there's 14. And there's 11 for wisdom. I think I'm going to change that to 13. So I'm going to move the 13 over. And then 15 in strength is fine. I'm good with that. Or I could switch. So if I want to go take 15, put it in my charisma, and 14 on strength, that would be fine too. So I'm going to move that over to the swap those out. So now I want that 14 to go back this. So it's kind of like a conveyor line. You're scooting this stat over. Yeah, that's pretty good. So 14 strength, 11 dex, con is 11, intelligence 11, 13 wisdom, 15 charisma. Not too shabby. And he gets a +1 on dex and a +2 on charisma from his racial ability. So that's, kind of where the placement was. So he makes a great paladin with that +2. And that way I don't have to burn my highest or roll on that if I didn't want to. So that's pretty cool. So that would be, see, now I picked a lower stat, I believe. I had 16, so I'm not sure what I did wrong, but I'm going to roll again. Yeah, so I did something goofy. I think I put wrong things in wrong places. So the 8, I think I will leave there. The 15, I'll move that to con. I'm trying to digest the rolls here, and it's not happening. So 17 strength, 16 dex, and 8 constitution. That's pretty rugged. So I switched it to an 8 intelligence. So he's not the smartest tool in the shed. 10 wisdom, 15 charisma. So that's not bad for a paladin. So he's got all these other qualities, but not so much in the smart. So that's fine. So those two are satisfied. You have this little green check off here. Let me get my pointer. This will help you see what I'm pointing at. So here I've moved all of these stats around and used these little arrows down here. Your racial adjustments are already down here for an offset, so those are calculated in. And those two are satisfied. So we've dealt with race and stats, and now we go to class. Now I had mentioned that I want some sort of knight or something, so I'm looking at a, let's go with the paladin. Now I have to pick a skill proficiency, so there's 2 of them. So I think for being a paladin, since I haven't picked my background yet, I'll go with religion and persuasion or insight. Maybe even medicine, that might be a thing. Yeah, persuasion's good. It's got to be a good smooth talker. And so that takes care of the class requirements. And it kind of starts building up in this preview window. And we're at level 1, so that's good. So we've dealt with those 3. Now we're going to go to the background. And there's a lot of different things here, but I think I'm going to make him either a Harper agent or some sort of Order of the Gauntlet or something like that. Knight of the Order, maybe. What does that do? So you get all these different tool set choices. So instruments or looks like card sets. Don't see him being an very interesting instrument player here. So I think his thing is probably the chess set. So Dragon chess set is his style. And you get a tool proficiency, and that's basically what we chose. Now for a language, we get 1 extra choice. So far he has Celestial and Common. So I think I'm going to go with Abyssal or what's the other one? Infernal. He's going to be able to understand and speak Infernal. He has to be able to do that. And then his proficiency, one of them would be, see, he's got persuasion and religion. So let's go with like history maybe, or survival, perception. Yeah, let's go with history. Now I'll go with perception. That'll help a lot. So there we go. So he's Knight of the Order. He's got his skills, got 3 of them so far. And now we're going to go to his inventory. So not sure how you guys had created characters in the past, but this satisfies all the current requirements, the main things. Now the inventory is a little bit weird. So if you go to inventory, it gives you basically, what sort of class that you want to pick and the type of equipment that you get for that class. Okay. So you get a class choice of the equipment. So it's asking you what kind of weapon you want. I'm thinking about a flail or a flail staff, something like that might be good. So twin flail, that's kind of cool. So a morning star might be a thing. Saber, it just depends. I like the just kind of like a common sword type thing. Battle axe, net. 2-bladed sword, that's kind of cool. Maybe a bardici, like a hand or polearm. That might be a thing. So I'm going to give him the bardici. So that's a big polearm thing. That's pretty cool. You don't see those very often anymore. And then what you do is you click on purchase equipment. And I'm going to look that item up once I get into the store. So I want to go to weapons. And then I'm going to type bardici in here. And here's the bardici. So I'm just going to drag and drop this down. And you can read it's a short polearm with the head of an axe at the end. So you just drag and drop that shortcut, and that puts it in your inventory. And then for your background, you probably get, some kind of, inventory. You can get some class equipment. So from your background, it will usually tell you what you get to start with. So when you go into the description on clicking on this little pin, you can go through here and see what this reads. And it looks like you get some gold, you get a signet ring, you get some little trinkets and such. And then you have a choice of a musical instrument or gaming set. We've already done that. So I'm going to go into inventory, and I'm going to go to gear, and I'm going to grab his chest set. So let's see what we get. Yeah, the dragon chest. So he's going to have that on him. It kind of packs that with him. And then if you go to his class description, his class will direct you into what type of background equipment or what type of proficiencies you have. So it just depends. So I think that is basically the majority of the main parts. Now it's just a matter of going through and selecting things. So class is not satisfied. So I need to double click on Paladin and then select the proficiency. So it wants me to pick, let's see, I'm going to go with Insight, and then I wanted to go with Religion. And that was the choices. So if you double click off of it, it will ask you to come back into it. So that's what was doing. And if you go to your inventory, you can start off with a some kind of kit or whatever it is that your class would get. So if you pick Paladin and you look down at the list, it gives you an idea of what you have to pick from. So you can do a shield and a martial weapon, or you can do 2 martial weapons or 5 javelins. So I have a martial weapon. I'll have a shield. I don't know if I can use the shield, but I'm going to go ahead and grab it. So I'm going to go to inventory, and I'm going to go to my armor, and then I'm going to take chainmail and a holy symbol. So first I need to do all my weapons and armor. So I'm going to basically go for shield. Okay, so here's your regular shields. I give him a +1 shield. That's kind of cool. So here's a magical shield. And then I'm going to go for his, I think he's going to have like a crossbow in case he has a missile weapon issue that he needs to deal with. So I'm going to go with light crossbow. And I need to make sure I'm in weapons, so that way it filters properly. And just drag and drop that down there. And then if you want the, the case and all that stuff, just type bolt, and it will, I'm in gear right now, so crossbow, bolt, case, and then the bolts themselves. There's 20 of them, so let's grab that. And I think I'm going to give him a dagger or some kind of short sword in case he drops his Bardici. So I'm going to go with a short blade, and I want to make sure I'm in the weapons area, and hit enter. And it should give me the short sword. There we go. So he has that as kind of like his backup. So I'll drag and drop that. And he does have a lot of strength, so I'm not too worried about his weight yet. And of course, I got to go and grab his, he said he gets chainmail, so I'm in armor right now. I'll grab chainmail. Just type in chain and filter up here. So there we go. Here's chainmail. Drag and drop that. And it will auto-equip most of your equipment, so when you drag and drop this stuff, you'll have a little shirt next to it. That means that it's equipped. So the shield is equipped, the Bardici is equipped, the crossbow is equipped, and the short blade, and the shield and the chainmail. So it does a lot of that for you. And then you can get a holy symbol, and then if you want to, a priest pack or explorer's pack. So I'm going to go to gear, and I'm going to type in explorer's pack, because that's kind of what I want him to have. Drag and drop that, and that contains all kinds of little goodies. And then the next thing is I'm going to also grab the, see if the holy symbol's there. So I'm in gear, type in holy, and holy cow, there it is. So holy symbol of Torm, I'll take that. It doesn't have to be that. It can be any type of thing, but I kind of like it. So maybe he worships Torm. That's kind of a war god, so maybe not. So let me type symbol and see what that gives me. Yeah, I'll just use that. No big deal. You can always reflavor it too. So I have a holy symbol, chainmail, priest pack, or excuse me, explorer's pack. I have a simple weapon, which is a short blade, and I have a main martial weapon and a shield. So that satisfies that. And then you get these other things as you build your character up. So I'll show you the level up process shortly. Then you go to inventory again, and you look, and it looks like I have a majority of the stuff I need, so I don't need to mess around with that too much more. You go to spells. Now the spells will, you'll get available spells as you level up. Right now I don't think he has any until 2nd level, so I'll show you that shortly. And then your feats, if you chose any, you would pick them from here, but this doesn't have any available. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And what that does is it'll pop up the character sheet. And at this point, you would select a portrait. If your game master has tokens he wants to share with you, you can assign a token. So I'm going to double click on the portrait, double click on the data folder, and then go to FG Fantasy, because that's where a lot of the included fantasy portraits are. So I'm going to wait for them to load up. Scan through. I'll just use this guy. That's a dwarf. Here, I'll use this fully helmeted guy for the knight. Okay, there we go. And now when you want to level up, so when you're ready to level and you have enough experience, or your game master tells you, you'll come down to the class and level. At this point, you'll click on level up. Drag and drop to second level. So your fighting style and your options will be here. So if I click on that, it will bring me to spells area as well. So that's in your stats as well. And if you're gonna do a multi-class, you would do it as well, but we're not gonna do that here. Now, let's see. I'm gonna go to class and see what's offered here. We already did. Got the paladin thing going on. Background stats and race is already satisfied. And if you had inventory changes, or like where you upgrade or anything, you do that. Let's go to spells. So I get one, I get a level 1 spell slot, I get 2 spells. So I'm going to pick Bless, so you just drag and drop that down into the area down below. I'm going to do Command, Cure Wounds, Detect Evil and Good. So those are the maximum number of spells that he can have. But he only has 2 slots, so he can cast 2 spells per long rest, but he can choose from any of these 4. So that's his spells that he gained. And then for his feats, he doesn't have any of those. His spells are dealt with at the moment. And then he has his class stuff that, was added already to his sheet. So he's good to go. And then you hit save. And then when you go back to your actions tab, you'll notice that the weapons are added, the spells are here. He has some Azamar things that were added automatically, which is nice. And then he has the paladin things. It looks like it kind of doubled up on some of this, but these might be his domain stuff for his religion. His, I guess you'd call those like, his oath. And you're gonna add 20 crossbow bolts. You have your Bardici. Let me read what that says. It's definitely reach two-handed, so I'm going to change this to a two-handed requirement. And light crossbow is two-handed as well because of the loading property, so that changes to 2 hands as well. So quite often he won't be using a shield unless he breaks out the short blade. So I think what he'll do is he keeps, bad guys at bay, and he'll shoot at them from a distance. But if they get inside of his range, then he pulls out his short blade and a shield. That's usually what he'll do. And I think that's pretty much the majority of, without getting into all the coding and spells, effects, and that sort of thing. That's pretty much how the character wizard works. It's not that hard. It just takes a little getting used to. It's something that I myself am getting used to. They've made a lot of recent updates and improvements, so it'll get better with time. And as the rule set progresses, it'll just get better and better. So, don't be afraid to use a character wizard. I know that we've said in the past that, you should do the drag and drop method. Well, yeah, you want to learn the in-depth parts of Fantasy Grounds, but if you don't have the time for that and you want to do a quick character, this character builder adds a lot more help up front so that you at least get these first 4 things correct without breaking your character. So that's your ability scores, background, race, and class. That's how we had to do it the old way. With the wizard, you can do it pretty much in any order you want, as long as they're satisfied. So hopefully that helps you a little bit more understanding with the character wizard. The last time I did this the other day, I only made a basic fighter. This one had a little bit more complexity because of the racial abilities. and some of the other things that are added here. So hopefully that helps you a little bit, and will make you aware of the newest things that are coming out in Fantasy Grounds. If you're still using the old method that we taught in the college, we would just say, okay, always drag this and this and that. Well, if you don't like that, or you don't want to subscribe to that, you just want to whip out a character, then Character Wizard is definitely a little bit of a time saver. I timed myself, and it saved me about 5 or 6 minutes on the front end. It saved me about 2 minutes in this inventory part, maybe a little more. And then it saved me, a few minutes on the actions tab. So overall, per character, it saves me about 12 minutes. So that's pretty good. So if you divide that or do the math, if you make 6 characters, that's saving you almost an hour. So that's pretty good time savings for creating characters. So that's the whole idea, is to cut the time down and the complexity and make this more friendly for building characters. Nice thing about it is you don't have to commit to those changes right away. So if you don't hit the save and you're unsure of what you're doing, just don't click on the save button and go through your changes. So if I go back to the level up button and you're unsure about what you want to do, don't click save. Just kind of work through it until you get everything there, and then you save it. Once you save it, then you have to go back and edit it and such. So now I'm going to bring him up to level 3, and that will basically pick his choice of his oath. So I'm going to give him the Oathbreaker, or the Oath of Ancients, or the Oath of Vengeance, maybe even Redemption. Like that. He gets Harness Divine Power, he gets Fighting Style option, and he gets a additional Paladin spells if he used Tasha's. And then his specialization is the Oath, so that's that. And then if you go to his actual spells, he gets one more spell at least. A slot, that is, not necessarily the spells available, but the slot. But you could switch him out at this point if you wanted to. So he's got 4 of 4 right now, so he's good. But he got an extra slot for being 3rd level. And that's that. And let's see his spells, his inventory. Yeah, so we're good to go. So maybe at this point he'd get an upgrade in his armor. Maybe that's where he got the +1 shield when he reached level 3. I think that's a good way of looking at it. So that's basically it. Then you hit save, and it takes all the things that are added to your sheet. So if you go to your abilities tab, all these different things are here. And you got fighting styles, so you need to pick one of those. I'd probably do defense or protection, one of those two. And then you could add this fighting style to your actions tab. So if you wanted to go into your paladin abilities, and in this case, I have an extension that added that. So if this is protection, then that's the one I would use. And then you have the Harness Divine Power. You have Divine Sense, Divine Health, Divine Smite. So these are all your paladin abilities. And then your spells are down here. And then if I go to the preparation mode, I can actually select which spells I have readied. So I don't need to ready any of these really because they're daily spells. But if you have any, like these lay on hands, it might be that you're blessed. You can spend 5 points, to heal people, and then you get to the point where you have a pool of spell points that you can use. So it just depends on what you're building. So there's a little bit of customization that you can do on the back end, but that's all part of learning Fantasy Grounds. That comes with time. The main thing is learning all these main parts, which is your background, your abilities, your race, your class. We used to say ABRC, so a battle ready character. That's how we would traditionally build characters, with drag and drop method. Like I said, if you use a character wizard, you kind of change that order around. So anyways, I think that's enough, and I will definitely be taking a step back. And yeah, no problem, Justin. So you should unequip the shield as default. Yeah, that in this case, yeah, I agree, Drake. Definitely do that. Also, I'd make an effect to unequip it. so that way it's not a pain in the butt. I don't have to keep going to my inventory. So Drake is saying is it probably shouldn't have it on very much. And Drake, those things are from Matakuri's module, the background stuff. So what Drake was saying is that you're in most cases when you're using your shield, and I have a lot of two-handed items, so in most cases I wouldn't have it equipped. But what I would do is create an action to where I can drop the shield. So all I have to do is go to the Actions tab, click on this little plus button here. It created a new line. I'll call it shield drop or drop shield. This way I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to keep going back and forth. And then I'm just going to right click, and you can add a custom action. So I'm going to add action. I'm going to add an effect. And I'm going to basically I'm going to go in and edit that. So shield drop. With a colon or semicolon. And I'm going to put AC. AC colon -2. And then I'm going to put targets as self. And will never expire. So basically, what will happen is when I'm playing, if I go to combat mode and actions, I'll just put that on me, this effect, and it'll automatically remove that that requirement. It'll remove the shield bonus, basically. So if you're on the combat tracker, and I'm going to go ahead and hit that again because I wasn't, it'll put that effect on there. Now, when you pull that shield out, ideally you go to your effects and you can remove it because you applied that to yourself. So that would be the only time you'd have to do it is when you're like using the short blade and the shield. That would be the time to do it. So that's just a little extra there. But I don't want to get into too much of the coding, but just let you know that it's, you can do it if you know what's up and if you have the time to sink your teeth into that. But initially, you just want to make sure the character's built right, and the automation and all that coding stuff comes later. So anyhow, take care. Thanks for the feedback, Drake. Good to see you, and see you guys around. Yeah, yep. AC -3, it's magic. Yes, you're right. Of course. Yeah, he's right. So I need to go in and edit that. So let's go to the magnifying glass. Come over here, change it to -3. He's absolutely right. Yeah. Yep, it was a magic shield. In the inventory itself, there is the shield +1. If you read about it, you don't have to be attuned to it. If you were, I'd have to assign the attunement to it. But yes, he's right. That'll cancel out that extra +1. So good catch. All right, thanks guys, and we'll see you around the community, and hopefully we will be able to help you in the future and keep you guys abreast of